Hello and welcome to the Gooner Talk, back again with you guys for another episode of what is the Arsenal Transfer Show. Joining you every morning at 8 a.m. UK time. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Thank you as always for joining me. Thank you for every single time that you click that little button to join us every single morning. Or perhaps you're catching up. Perhaps you're catching up on the show via some audio platforms as well. Thank you everybody for doing so. I really appreciate it. Do drop a like on the video, of course, and subscribe to the channel if you're new around here with those notifications turned on so you never miss a show. It is match day. Arsenal travel to Kenilworth Road today to take on Luton Town in the Premier League. Very interesting indeed. I've got to drive a new car. I say new car. It's a courtesy car because my car's getting fixed at the moment. I'll be able to tell you the story as to how and why my car needs fixing very soon, hopefully, because it's quite a funny story. But I can't talk about it at the moment because it's still going on. It's still happening. But it's driving around the M25 in a different car is going to be very interesting indeed. Keeping fingers crossed that we don't have any problems, and it's a seamless transition into a different vehicle. Anyway, good morning to those joining us today. Hope you're doing good. Hope you're doing well. Runs with Cows, good morning to you, to Martin, Morgie, Peter, old Dave, Maximius, Akmal, Perez, Viraj, Vala, Red Star, Franklin. We've got Rob, Bob, Wilson, Olawale. We've got Rich, Marcus, Black Shine, Mr. Ree, NSW. We've got Temi. We've got Tom, Angela, Mila as well. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning in. It is very much appreciated. And John Scarrett as well, I think, has renewed his membership. Thank you so much, John. Really appreciate the continuation of joining us as a fan as well. And I expected a question about the GTA trailer that dropped yesterday. I have seen it. I think it looks great. I can't wait to give that a play in 2025. Yeah, because it's going to be because that game's not being delayed, obviously. Yeah, I would expect that more so in 2026 than anything else. Games these days get delayed, more than Bukayo Saka gets goal contributions. So there you go. Right, shall we crack on with today's stories? I think we should. We're going to run this show into kind of two parts. We're going to bring them all into the same part. We're going to look ahead to Luton in a second, but we'll run through the stories of the day first. Sky have won 4 of the 5 TV packages for Premier League games. TNT Sports winning the 5th one. It means that Sky Sports will now show 70% more matches, a record 215 games in a new 4-year deal. I've seen mixed responses to this. I know a lot of people wanted to see Amazon get a hold of them because obviously it's the financial side of thing. I think Amazon makes things more accessible with their monthly payment being, I think, better. I have my issues with that only because when watching games on TV, when you watch them on Amazon, you're very tethered to how good your internet connection can be. You're also out of sync with everybody else, whereas when you watch on TV, you're in sync with everybody else. So if Amazon worked out a way in which it could have, fixed that system, then I would have been much more for it. But the TV broadcasting of it has always been, to me, the better way because of the way in which it syncs up with everybody else that's watching it. There's no delay for anybody. But I absolutely empathize with those people that wanted to see Amazon get it. So if it was going to be improved in that sense by going to Amazon, then we've missed out on the opportunity, I guess. We just got to hope that things go well on Sky, things improve on Sky. I doubt it. And the money that they charge people is ridiculous. The fees that will be going up, you'd imagine, with Sky winning more of the package. You can imagine that Sky will be going up. I suppose that the answer is if you can forego TNT Sports now, because they might have to charge less because they don't have as much Premier League action as they have had previously on BT. So maybe that might be a way forwards for those that are thinking about this from a financial standpoint. It's obviously a very sensitive topic, but I just hope that it becomes a lot more accessible for more people. But I'm not holding my breath on that one. I'm not naive enough to think that it will. Ruben Neves has been talking out about his future. Of course, we saw links with Ruben Neves and Arsenal going up until this January window. there was more suggestions that indeed Ruben Neves would be potentially moving to Newcastle on loan because they've got their links with the Saudi clubs. However, he's been speaking to BBC where he said, I don't go. I'm really happy here. My family's really happy. I think that's rumours because of the owner and the clubs, of course. And I've played in England as well. There was Newcastle interest before I came here. So that kind of really does lock down that idea that he'll be moving in January because he's not going to be. He says he's very happy playing for Al Hilal and very interested to see what Ruben Neves does with his career moving forward because he's one of the younger movers to that league alongside the likes of Gabri Vega, I guess, and etc. So he won't be moving to us in January is the short answer to that news story. Mikel Arteta conducted his press conference yesterday. He did discuss Takehiro Tomiyasu's injury. He was asked about that. He said, we assessed him after the game. We took him off as a precaution, so we'll wait. Whether it's useful to use him or not, we will decide tomorrow. He's a strong boy, and hopefully he'll be fine. So despite some rumours that he was going to be out for weeks, it does seem that Arteta is pretty optimistic in his discussions around Takehiro Tomiyasu and his potential injury issues, which is obviously a positive thing. And hopefully we see him back on the field very, very soon if indeed he is missing. He was asked about if Ben White could deputise, and he said after his injury, the way in we decided to manage his load, he's feeling perfect and back to fitness. He played some minutes and now he's in a good place. So I think we can expect probably tonight for Ben White to be back in the Arsenal 11 for the game at Luton. Continuing on with Mikel Arteta's press conference and discussing some of the key themes from this and talking specifically about Luton, he says, I would say it's an inspiring place, Kenilworth Road. I think what they've done is remarkable with what Rob did with the same team last year. The way they did it and what they transmitted as a team. We are neighbours and we're always very close to here, so it's just an amazing story. They fully deserve all the credit they're getting from last year, as well as the way that they are playing this season. Some of the results that they have got and in the games that they've played, they've been extremely close to. So tomorrow, we're going to have to be really intense and it's going to be a difficult match, which isn't entirely surprising to see him talk in that sense. He also talked about Bukayo Saka reaching 200 appearances, and he said that's not bad for his age. It's gone really fast, but it shows again the consistency and availability that he has over the past few years. It has been tremendous, and the impact that he's had in the team has been positive. Now, he was asked about Pep Guardiola's comments. If you watch the game between Guardiola and Postecoglou's Man City and Spurs teams, you would have seen an interview which may have gone through your social feeds as well, in which he was asked for a comment on the referee and the instance of the Erling Haaland advantage, to which Pep Guardiola said, next question, I'm not going to give you a Mikel Arteta comment. And Arteta was asked about this, and he said, on to the next one, please. I have enough in my garden and on my plate. So he doesn't really necessarily want to watch that either. He was asked later on in the in potential mind games with Pep Guardiola, and he said, if I am good at mind games, maybe you don't notice it. So I don't think Arteta's great at mind games, to be honest. I think he's very straight to the point and blunt and dismissive of anything that might tempt him into engaging any potential mind games. But yeah, I wouldn't put mind games up there with the Mourinho's of this world for Arteta. I don't think it's his strongest point. He was asked about Manchester City's draw. He says, do they take encouragement from that? And he said, encouragement? No. Encouragement comes from watching my team play and watching how they behave every single day, how hungry and willing they are to play every single game, the way they approach every single training session. That's what gives me encouragement. What the others do is something we cannot control, which I absolutely get. That said, I've certainly spoken to a number of Arsenal's players and know that when they see other teams dropping points, it certainly does give them encouragement. It certainly gives them extra motivation that they perhaps didn't need. I spoke to Bukayo Saka ahead of the game against Brentford when Liverpool and Man City drew, and after the game he said that they watched the game and it obviously gave them that extra little bit of oomph, if you like. I asked him and he said yes, that it did. So certainly I think we can come to expect Mikel Arteta not to necessarily speak in that sense, but his players, I think, are slightly different. A question was interestingly asked. It says, on none of our team against Wolves being bored when Arsenal last played Luton in 1991. And he said, but we are old. It's an incredible way that Luton have done it. The frustrations they had, it's an example to any Premier League club to give hope as well that any club is able to do something extraordinary like this. It's a beautiful story. And it is, I think you got to respect Luton the way in which they've come through. If they survive, it's arguably an even bigger, it's not even arguable, it's certainly a bigger achievement than getting promoted to the Premier League. Staying in the Premier League would be an amazing achievement for Luton. If they can do it, I guess time will tell. And as I always say, we'll have to wait and see. I do want to move to our Luton Town mini preview. As I said yesterday, we weren't able to do a preview show. I was very busy yesterday on my day off, so I wasn't able to get you a specific Luton Town versus Arsenal preview. So to just discuss this very quickly, of course, it's really important that Arsenal win this week. We know that the other Premier League games that are on offer this midweek will give Arsenal something of an opportunity because Aston Villa play against Manchester City at home. Sheffield United, who have expected, if they haven't already, to sack their manager, Paul Heckingbottom, could get a brand new managerial bounce ahead of their game against Liverpool. David Ornstein reporting that story yesterday. Brighton playing Brentford. We've got other teams involved. Manchester United playing Chelsea, Everton playing Newcastle, Tottenham playing West Ham. Arsenal need to win. Arsenal really need to, focus in on specifically the fact that they can control their own destiny, if you like. I have just realised I completely skipped over Aaron Ramsdale's comments, but I'll get to that after the preview. We'll do that in part 2, the Aaron Ramsdale comments. Don't worry, I can see you guys talking about that in the chat box. Don't worry, we'll talk about Ramsdale's comments in part, or the Arteta comments on Ramsdale in part 2. But yes, so Luton Town, Arsenal, we are expecting some changes, I think. The team that I've gone with, to give you what I would go for, Martinelli, Jesus and Saka continuing up top. The player that swaps out is Trossard. I'd bring Havertz in for this game, give us a little bit of physicality in the attack and give us a little bit of physicality and aerial threat as well. Zinchenko stays in the team because Tomiyasu is perhaps not fully fit. And that means that, not Declan Rice, but Ben White comes into the right back slot. Other than that, it's just the 2 changes from the team that won the game at the weekend against Wolves. Arsenal, of course, have a very difficult game away at Aston Villa this weekend. So I guess that we will have to wait and see what goes there. We are going to be doing a slightly shorter show, by the way, because I've just got a text that my courtesy car is arriving at past. So I'm going to be very, very quick and off the show shortly. So we'll quickly run through to part 2. But the only thing that's quicker than changing your courtesy car is, of course, the quickness, the speed of thought that it takes to get the support that you need from NordVPN when you want to change in hot geolocations. And it can give you that superpower of quickly changing geolocation from one place to another on your tablet, on your mobile, or your phone. Any of that can be done in the split second that it takes to just click one little button on the app. And if you want that superpower, if you want the ability to change your geolocation, not only that, but stay safe and secure online, then you need NordVPN. And you need to go to nordvpn.com/Gooner to get yourself that significant discount off a 1 or 2 year plan, plus some extra months thrown in for good measure as well. And if you're not happy with the service for whatever reason, you get a 30-day money back guarantee. So massive thank you once again for Nord for always supporting the channel. And as our sponsor, I recommend that you highly go and check it out. Link in the description, nordvpn.com/Gooner. Get your superpower, keep yourself safe online. And as always, it's just really good. Simple as that. Right, let's go to part 2 for a very quick run through your questions and Arteta's comments on Ramsdale right after this. Okay, let's jump into your chat box questions then, right after we have discussed some of those questions or comments from Mikel Arteta on Ramsdale. He says, I want Aaron Ramsdale with us. I am very happy to have 2 very good goalkeepers, and Aaron is staying with us. He's willing to play like any player. He wants to play for Arsenal. That's what he wants to do. And, this falls in line with what I reported a couple of weeks ago now. I reported that a approach had been knocked back from a lower half Premier League side in Ramsdale, and that his focus was still very much on Arsenal, and that Arsenal want to keep hold of Aaron Ramsdale as well. Now, a lot of you may have seen the news regarding Nick Pope being injured for an extended amount of time, and will Newcastle come in? Well, the early suggestions are at least that David De Gea looks like potentially the target that they will be looking to first beyond anybody else. So it may not be Ramsdale that they look to. It may be David De Gea that comes first. But that is where we're kind of at with the Ramsdale situation. And I think that's probably fair. So we'll take 5 minutes of questions, quick fire, and then I'm going to have to shoot, I'm afraid. Aaron says, I'd like to see Kivior in for Zinchenko. Personally, I feel that he deserves a chance. Fair enough. I think that Zinchenko is really important to our attacking play, but they are very quick on the counter, our Luton, so maybe Kivior would be very much needed for it. Marcus says, is Villa Park Tom allowed in Luton's tiny press area? I didn't do anything in Luton, in Villa. Okay, that's not true. There was a slight fist pump, when we scored. That was about it. That was it. When that ball hit the back of the net after smacking Emi Martinez in the back of the head, there was a slight, that was it. That's all I can say. But beyond that, no. Marcus says, AC Milan, French goalkeepers that we've had a link to. Does this mean that Raya is not definite or a salt shaker moment? I don't think we're going for Mike Maignan. I would be very surprised if Arsenal were going in for a goalkeeper after having just signed David Raya. I cannot see that one happening at all. James says, do you think there's scope to loan Ramsdale to keep his confidence up and then bring him back? Raya is older, but we know that keepers can play to a later age. Yeah, I don't think there is. You'd have to send him on like 5 loans before you even got close to thinking about what Raya's future might be. So sorry, James. It's a nice idea. I just don't think that it works. Matt says, Tom, which players have seen the least amount of improvement under Arteta? It's a really interesting question because obviously we associate Mikel Arteta with a huge amount of progress with a lot of those players. I assume it's probably players like Thomas Partey, who signed, at a very good level anyway. So you weren't necessarily going to see a huge amount of improvement under Mikel Arteta. But having a quick look on the Arsenal All Transfers page, which we like to do, it tends to be players that have been here and are older. Sambi Lukonga's a great shout from Dave. Nuno Tavares, probably another one as well. So their players haven't necessarily pushed on. Alex Runarsson, you might argue as well, is another. Fabio Vieira is potentially another player that you can look at. I think Leandro Trossard as well is one, but more so because he was already playing at a really good level. A lot of people say, wow, he's doing really well at Arsenal. But to me, that's just like you didn't see much of him at Brighton. He was very good at Brighton as well. It's difficult to judge players beyond like from last summer. So those that are going to be inevitably throwing Havertz into the mix, I can't really judge those. That said, I think that Rice has definitely improved in a short space of time. Edrasas says Smith Rowe. I don't think Smith Rowe is a fair example at all, to be honest, because if we are being honest, Smith Rowe under Arteta grew to become an England senior international. It was only because of injuries that continuously he found himself out of the team and stunting his progress. So, no, I wouldn't say that Smith Rowe is a good example at all. So there you go. Reece Nelson, again, I think Reece Nelson has progressed, Darren, under Arteta. I think he's progressed as a player. He hasn't played loads of minutes, but I still think he's got better under Arteta. It tends to be the players that are older, like your Trossards, like your Parteys, because they've always been good and they're still performing at a very good level when, of course, they're available in the case of Thomas Partey, of course. But some of the younger signings, I suppose, Vieira, Tavares, Lukonga, they've not necessarily progressed too much. Pepe, yeah, you're right, Dave. Nicola Pepe did not progress under Mikel Arteta. He didn't suit what Mikel Arteta wanted as a player either. So I wouldn't necessarily say he's progressed. But I mean, when you look at the signings we've made, Gabriel has become a brilliant, brilliant player. Martin Odegaard has become a brilliant, brilliant player. Ben White has become a far better player. Ramsdale became a better player. Tomiyasu became a better player. Gabriel Jesus, I think, has reached another level under Arteta compared to when he was at Man City. For me, personally, I think he's cultivated that number 9 position more so, gained confidence. I think Zinchenko, wasn't necessarily appreciated as one of the best left-backs in the league at Man City, but I think he became that at Arsenal under Arteta. I think just having to scroll through a little bit more. We've already talked about Declan Rice improving and the existing players as well. Granit Xhaka improved under him a lot. Bukayo Saka, Smith Rowe, Gabriel Martinelli have all improved. William Saliba has improved to no end, under Mikel Arteta. So there is lots of examples of players that have improved under him and far, far fewer that haven't, and the ones that haven't tend to be either older or have suffered with injuries as well. So there you go. Right. Oh, hold on. The TGT sneeze is sneaking in just before we end the show. But I know it's a short one. Apologies for that. I'll be back tomorrow with a longer show talking about the game tonight. So please do tune in tomorrow morning for that. Thank you so much, everybody that continues to support the channel and tunes in. I'll be back very, very soon, of course, as I've already mentioned. I hope you have a fantastic Tuesday. Stay safe, stay well, and as always, up the Arsenal.